Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking an expert blueprint and breaking it down into a clear, actionable plan. And we're tackling one of the most critical parts of any swine operation, the Gilt unit.
So here's the big question, right? How do you actually turn a new Gilt into a highly productive sow? Well, today we're diving into the Dan-bred guide for managing a Gilt unit. We're going to break down the critical steps that build the foundation for a sow's entire productive life. Because honestly, getting this stage right, that's the difference between average and excellent.
Okay, let's get right into it. The journey from a promising young Gilt to a productive sow, well, it really kicks off the moment she leaves quarantine. And this first step is absolutely crucial.
Look, the goal here isn't just about moving an animal from point A to point B. It's all about careful, deliberate planning to minimize social stress, the fighting, and to meticulously maintain their health status. A calm start really is a productive start.
So how do you pull that off? It really boils down to this four-step plan. First, you plan the transport, ideally using a closed, filtered truck. Second, you get those new pens ready to go. Third, sort the Gilts by age if you haven't already. And finally, and this is a big one, move them in their established social groups.
Now, these rules might look simple, but they have a massive impact. Keeping those original quarantine groups together means you're not forcing them to establish a whole new pecking order, which is super stressful. You're aiming for these small groups, about 5 to 8 Gilts, with a weight difference of no more than 15 kilograms. That kind of precision is what helps minimize the fighting that can really hurt their development.
All right, so once the Gilts are settled into their new pens, what's next? Well, the right environment becomes everything. And you might be surprised to hear that one of the most powerful tools you have is light.
The goal here is pretty straightforward. Use light to stimulate puberty. It's a powerful biological signal. You need a consistent 16 hours of light every single day. But it's not just about flipping a switch. We're talking clean lamps, bright white walls to reflect that light, and making sure there are no dark corners. It's all about ensuring every single Gilt gets that crucial message loud and clear.
And this is what we're talking about when we say bright. It's not just a feeling, it's a measurable intensity. You're shooting for a minimum of 100 and ideally 200 lux, right at the Gilt's eye level. That's the specific level you need to really trigger that hormonal response.
Okay, environment? Check. Now let's talk about the fuel for all that development. Precision feeding. And this isn't just about getting them big, it's about getting them into the right condition at exactly the right time.
You see, there's a magic number here, a real sweet spot. The research is clear. A steady gain of around 900 grams per day is perfect. It allows for the best skeletal and organ development without them getting too fat. If you go too fast or too slow, you seriously risk compromising their entire reproductive future.
So how do you hit that target? Well, it's not an all-you-can-eat buffet. The guide strongly recommends restricted feeding because it gives you precise control. As you can see in this table, you're actually adjusting the nutrient profile as the Gilt grows. You're dialing back the amount of lysine, which is a key amino acid for growth. This is how you fine-tune that daily gain and keep them right in that target zone.
But how do you know if you're on track? Not everyone has a scale in every single pen, right? It's a common challenge. And thankfully, the Dan-bred guide offers a brilliantly simple, low-cost solution.
And here it is. The solution is just a simple measuring tape. You wrap it just behind the front legs, and that's it. This one little measurement gives you a surprisingly accurate estimate of their weight. So no need for expensive scales, just a quick, easy check that tells you instantly if your feeding strategy is working.
All right, now for the payoff. All this careful preparation, the low-stress move, the precise lighting, the targeted feeding, it all leads right to this moment, achieving, identifying, and managing that all-important first heat.
This right here is the trigger. At around 24 to 26 weeks of age, you start the daily introduction of a mature teaser boar. This is the final signal that kicks off the reproductive process. But how you do it is just as important as when.
See, you don't just leave the boar in the pen. The guide really emphasizes using what they call the shock effect. Bringing the boar in for a bit and then taking him away creates a much stronger stimulation than just leaving him in there all the time. His arrival stays novel and powerful, and that's what maximizes the response from the Gilts.
Okay, so once you detect that first heat, you've got to track it. And you don't need any complex software for this. This simple 3-color marking system is kind of genius. You just assign a color to each week.
This creates a visual calendar right on the gilt's backs, so you can see at a glance who is in what stage of their 21-day cycle and predict exactly when they'll be ready for insemination.
So, what are you looking for? These are the 4 key signs. You'll see physical changes, like a swollen vulva, and some behavioral stuff, like they might go off their feet or be more active. But the gold standard, the definitive confirmation that she is ready, is that standing heat reflex. You can check for it with just a little bit of back pressure.
So what's this all add up to? Well, each step we've covered, the calm move, the right lighting, the precision feeding, the heat detection, they aren't just separate items on a checklist. They are all interconnected parts of a single powerful process. You're not just managing gilts for a few weeks. You are meticulously building the productive engine of your future herd.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Because as this whole explainer shows, long-term herd success isn't an accident. It's built deliberately and precisely right there in the Gilt unit. The attention to detail you give your youngest animals today is what will directly determine the productivity you see for years and years to come.